This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. Following the tragic events that left a male tourist from Florida dead after injuries suffered when a four-wheeler ATV on which he was a passenger overturned while in the area of the police station at Arawak Key on Saturday, the woman, who is also a Florida native who was driving the four-wheeler at the time of the unfortunate incident, appeared in the magistrate's court today. 42-year-old Carol Garcia of Miami appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt and was charged with vehicular manslaughter of Wilbur George, a father of four. Police reports indicate that the deceased was thrown from the vehicle after Garcia operated the vehicle in a manner dangerous to those in the vicinity. Eventually, she lost control. George was taken to hospital but later succumbed to his injuries. Garcia was not required to enter a plea during her arraignment, as the matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court by a voluntary bill of indictment. The Miami resident was granted $18,000 cash bail and is scheduled to return to the Bahamas on May 24th when the case continues. A spate of alleged armed robberies on Sunday leave police on the hunt for at least 4 men. Police are also appealing to members of the public for assistance in identifying and locating these suspects. The first incident occurred shortly before 7 a.m. in the area of Madeira Street, with reports revealing that occupants of a dark purple Nissan Cube robbed a business establishment while at its drive-through window. Police say one of the culprits gained access to the establishment by climbing into the drive-through window. He then pointed a firearm at the cashier, who fled upon seeing the suspect. While attempting to remove cash from the register, another employee, struck the suspect with an object. However, the suspect was able to remove an undisclosed amount of cash before making good his escape. Here you can see the robbery taking place, as video of the criminal offense was shared widely on social media. Hours later, in another incident, sometime around 1:20 p.m., 2 masked males entered a business establishment in the Carmichael Road area, both allegedly armed with firearms, as they demanded cash from the manager, who complied. The suspects were given an undisclosed amount of cash before fleeing the area in a dark-colored Nissan Cube. Then sometime around 4:30 p.m. in the Bernard Road area, according to reports, a lone male who was reportedly masked and brandishing a firearm entered a business establishment and demanded cash. The manager complied and gave the assailant an undisclosed amount of money before he fled on a motorcycle, making good his escape. Police are appealing to members of the public that may have information regarding these or any other criminal matters to contact them at Crime Stoppers. That's 328-TIPS, 328-8477. The COVID-19 outbreak at the Ellen Coakley High School in Exuma is now contained. This coming from Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Dovell, who says the school is back up and running.
When we first started out, there was about 6, possibly 8 cases of COVID. Today, there's only 2 reported cases. The schools are up and going, and everything seems to be under control. As far as Exuma is concerned, we have a total of 14 cases. Like I said, 2 at the schools, and the balance is in the community. We have about 26 or 30 people in quarantine, and it's going on a downward trend. So I'm pleased to report that to the community.
Dr. Dovell says there have been no new reported cases on the island of Exuma.
The cases are stable, and we're noticing a downward trend simply because our surveillance unit has now put in place all of the necessary quarantine protocols, and they're being monitored properly. And we always encourage the community to practice safety measures. If you have an upper respiratory tract infection, you keep the mask on, hand washing, and so forth. They're regular protocols that remain.
When asked if there have been any considerations for the re-implementation of the mask mandate, the health minister says the wearing of masks is totally up to the discretion of the individual.
But if you know that you have an upper respiratory tract infection, you're sneezing, you're coughing, you have a runny nose, it is probably in your best interest to wear a mask to protect those around you. But as far as we're concerned, the Ministry of Health, the mask mandate is removed. And that means now that we have the community operating as it was in the past. Very important for businesses, very important to get our economy moving. But of course, the situation is fluid. If we see signs where it needs to be brought back into play, we will do it. But at this particular time, we have no intention of doing so.
Dr. Dowell reiterates that COVID spikes will happen from time to time as we are still in the pandemic. He encourages people to continue to wash their hands and social distance as much as possible. A viral video of former Minister of Health and current chairman of the Free National Movement, Dr. Dwayne Sands, claiming that the Davis administration has been hiding an uptick in respiratory illnesses in the country made rounds on social media on Monday. Dr. Sands says countless adults and children have been impacted, with emergency rooms and doctors' offices being overfilled with patients complaining of respiratory and gastrointestinal issues, with some of them admitted to the intensive care unit. Well, Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Michael Dowell today before the weekly cabinet meeting telling reporters that these claims are absolutely false.
In large proportions. I'd like to make it very clear that the Ministry of Health is responsible for surveillance and reporting diseases or infectious diseases as indicated in the community. When we look at the reported cases and the data in front of us, there is no need to create panic. Our numbers for upper respiratory tract infection and gastrointestinal infections at this particular time is below the normal value, but we're constantly watching. And so these voice notes to create concern and panic, I don't think it's appropriate. If Dr. Sands has something or some information that he knows about that our ministry is unaware of, he needs to bring it to my attention rather than create panic in the community.
While Minister Dowell could not say what is the normal average of respiratory illnesses during this time of the year, he says this happens every year during this winter season.
At this particular time of the year, we do see spikes of upper respiratory tract infections and some indications of gastrointestinal. Most of them are viral. It happens every year. You must realize that we came out of the COVID pandemic, and so during that particular time, everyone was mandated to wear masks. And so now we're being exposed. And so, but I want to report to the community that the numbers are below the normal value as we experience at this time of the year.
Dr. Dowell says the Ministry of Health and Wellness is watching the situation very closely and that there is no need for panic. And finally, the Ministry of Public Works and Utilities is calling residents in the southwestern New Providence area to attend a town hall meeting where information will be shared regarding the Gladstone Road Improvement Project. The Gladstone Road Corridor, which connects Carmichael Road west to John F. Kennedy Drive, has been long overdue for improvements, with the Ministry of Works revealing in December that the road improvement project, which was originally set to start at the end of 2022 but rescheduled to begin mid-2023, will last for about 2 years. Last month, Bahama Mix began the first phase with road paving. Next week, Tuesday, February 28th at 6 p.m., the Ministry of Works and Utilities, their officials, will host a town hall meeting for constituencies impacted, including Tall Pines, Carmichael, Golden Isles, Southern Shores, and Killarney Shores. Owners of businesses on the Gladstone Road Corridor are also invited to attend that meeting at the National Training Agency. That'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thanks so much for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.